All right, and we are live. All right. Hey, everybody, welcome to Teachers Talk Thursday. So, today we have a really special guest on, and I'm really excited. So, we have Elexis. Elexis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, Jillian. Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis. I am oh my goodness, I have things popping up on the side. I think everything's okay though. I am an online English teacher. I teach ESL. I also teach Spanish. I started as an English teacher in 2018 with VIPKID, and then I switched community or switched not community, sorry, switched companies in 2021, but I'm still teaching ESL online, working on getting my own students, but I love it. I can't stop. Once I started in 2018, it's now become a passion. I first began teaching in 2017. I started in a brick and mortar traditional classroom teaching high school, and quickly found out that was not for me. But when I met my Chinese students and teaching online, this is amazing. So I'm really passionate about what I do, about educating online, and about reaching students all over the world. Also, I've written a book called English Language Learning Unlocked, um, because just coming from that passion is really easy to do once I got started. Just because you gotta love what you do. So it all kind of flowed. So that's what
I
I'm
read
doing
this
now.
book. I read this book. This book is it's like a college degree in a book format. Like, I
Thank
mean,
you.
no, it's seriously, it like going through it, it's pretty much the same stuff that I learned in my master's degree, but it's more applicable to online teaching and ESL specifically, whereas like a master's degree program, like I think that the book that you wrote actually has more knowledge in it than like a lot of like the TEFL, TEFL, TESOL, TESOL, however you say it, certifications. Like it's good. It's a really good book. You should be proud of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really am. Like, when I was writing it, I was thinking like, oh man, is this just really obvious? Do teachers know this? But the more I got into it, I was like, deeper, deeper, deeper. Just kind of just things that I know, because I do have a degree. I don't have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's in foreign languages. I also have my TEFL and my TESOL certification. So I guess just that and learning from other teachers and learning as I go, that's where I got the inspiration and from doing my own research too, how the book came to be.
Yeah, I think that when you talk to a lot of teachers, they don't like, if I ever use the term like differentiation with a lot of teachers, I have to explain what that fully means. Like there's more depth to it than someone who hasn't been through any kind of like educational training. Then they really understand. It's not just like, differentiation isn't just like teaching it differently to different people. There's a broad spectrum of it, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah. And that's one of the things that I find makes a really successful teacher. I think that a lot of kids that came out of these Chinese, I call it cookie cutter. They're cookie cutter classes. So like
They
VIP,
are.
Shellfish, Whales, like they were cookie cutter schools. The ones that are still practicing, they still are. They're cookie cutter. So you'll have some students that come into it and they fly through it and they're bored, and you're supposed to go through each lesson. You can't skip. You got to do the reviews the same way. And they're just like, oh, I know this. Whereas other students are still struggling after once you get to the review. And it's not, uh, there's more to going into it. Even if you're teaching for a company that provides you with the slides, there's more that you need to know to be a really successful teacher and to give your students the best results.
Yes, exactly. Exactly what you said. Even if they provide the curriculum for you, you have to know how to pick up on subtleties and the way that your student responds to things, and really know how to listen with more than your ears. You got to learn how to pick up on the little things that your students gives you. And that's some of the tips that are given in the book, how to really learn the best way to teach the individual, not just like, just to get through the 25-minute lesson. You want to
Yeah.
actually make sure that you're providing something that's that they're going to take with them and actually want to learn. That's the goal, to get them to want to learn on their own more, because what really can you do 25 minutes once a week? You really have to inspire them. So you got to actually learn the student.
Right, right, right. Okay. So do you want me to pop up the slides that you brought in to let me get this on the screen now?
Sure, yes. It'll keep
Okay.
me from rambling too much.
Oh no, no, you're fine. You're fine. All right. So can you control the slides from here or do I have to do it?
Let me see. I
You have a
believe you have to.
okay.
I don't.
Okay. I'll just read your cues here. I can do it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
All
know.
right.
I trust you.
Okay.
All right. So quickly, I just have a few slides I want to go through just to talk about my thoughts on crafting the adaptive curriculum, which basically means once you see your student learning how to pivot in a way that will help them the best. So differentiating instruction and meeting your student where they are. I like to say student or learner. I also learned the term learner because uh, there are different age levels of and different different proficiency levels that we teach as teachers. So sometimes student isn't necessarily, it is always appropriate, but the learner may not feel that way. So you'll see in this slide I use student and learner interchangeably, but basically meeting them where they are, how to best fulfill their needs. So first we have to understand why they're there. Why did they come to your classroom? Why are they trying to learn English? And again, I'm an English teacher, an ESL teacher. I do teach Spanish as well, but I mostly teach ESL. So coming from the ESL teacher mindset, ESL online teacher mindset, there are over 2 billion people currently learning English worldwide. So that's an astonishing 20% of the global population. For
And
many
people say there's
students,
no students. That's something that I want everybody to pay attention to right now. When anybody says, "Oh, there's too many teachers and not enough students," like there clearly is not.
yeah, clearly there's so many and they want to learn. For like the top of the slides, I understand why they're there. There's so many reasons to learn English. See, that's why I made these slides, to stick on this. I'm gonna try, but it's just a guide. So yeah, please interrupt me and jump in anytime. I know we're both passionate about this, and I love this conversation already. So for many students, attaining English language skills may be part of their plan for their own social mobility. For 40% of the global population who don't have access to education in their native language, that's big. Learning English is a necessary gateway skill. English continues to be the language of commerce. It is also the language that 52% of the internet is written in. English dominates the world's popular media and is the gateway language to countless resources, courses, and social groups. So, learning English is a key, basically, that unlocks the door to the rest of the world. Like it says, 52% of the internet is written in English. Also, another stunning statistic to me, 40% of the global population don't have access to education in their native language. So, learning English allows them to learn so much more.
That's incredible. I did not know these statistics either.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and those quotes, that was a quote from the intro of the book. So, I just wanted to put that out there. So also, after knowing why your students come to you, because it's critical that they learn English. It's not like just trying to pass a test real quick. It's actually they're using this in their life. So then we have to think, what is our goal? Our goal is to move away from rote learning and begin to craft lessons that are educationally rich and emotionally resonant. Lessons that leave a lasting impression on students. And cookie cutter lessons, one size fits all curriculum does not do that. You'll quickly be forgotten and students will leave you, which I think that's why a lot of teachers have a hard time breaking away from uh, the curriculum that's already planned for them, and the companies that already do it for them, because they're like, what do I do? How do I do it? A lot of teachers don't know how to pivot this way, and they're not thinking that, this language learning is an emotional journey. And if you, as a teacher, any teachers watching, haven't gone through it themselves, I would suggest, try to learn a second language so you can get a sense of what your students are going through.
Right. Yeah, and I feel that when you have a student who is taking these cookie cutter lessons, or I'm sorry, when you have a parent who's used to the students, so talking about like Chinese parents that are used to like these cookie cutter lessons, they come out of it, they look for a private teacher, and a lot of teachers are out there selling themselves on social media based on the curriculum that they're using.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that that's I feel that that's kind of it's locking you in. It's putting you in a stronghold here where you are now required to teach that because that's what you
Yeah.
advertise yourself at. But then you get in here and you realize, okay, this student needs more of this, and I can do it better with this other curriculum that I find, or they need something more where they're less engaged or more engaged. They need more writing. They need more review, they need more interaction, they need more engagement. Like every student's a little bit different. So when you lock yourself into, like, I teach Wales curriculum, like a lot of teachers do, not picking on Wales teachers, just throwing that as an example, um, then you're not, well, first of all, you're not selling the results to them, like you're selling the curriculum.
Yeah.
And second of all, now you're kind of locked into that because that's what it's going to be a little bit harder to pivot from it because that was one of the things that you sold in your promise. And it's it's going to be more reliable for your business to really focus on the end result that you're going to get the student,
You're
where
right. That's something I hadn't thought of too. You want to focus on selling that, not even to say selling, but you want to let your students or prospective students know that you're focused on the end result rather than I'm definitely going to teach you this curriculum. You don't want to be boxed in because you can't make promises before you even meet the student and see what it is that they need.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had students before where they needed a lot of reading and comprehension. I've had students where they needed more writing. I've had students where they needed what worked best for them was like after class quizzes for comprehension because they would
Hmm.
retain it all during class, and as soon as class was over it was completely forgotten. So they needed something where they could, like, a couple days later, sit down, review it, and take the quiz and refresh it before the next class because um some people, like, they leave the environment and everything leaves with them. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So working hard versus working smart. When I first started, the top picture with the stiff wig, that is me working at VIPKID, my first year for VIPKID in 2018. I was following the company's curriculum, not using digital resources, so not straying away at all. I didn't have any flexibility to stray away and learn or use anything else other than physical props. I was not differentiating instruction. So whoever came in, however old they were, 12-year-olds, or yay, you get a star, and they just stare at me like I'm stupid. Didn't know how to pivot at all. um, Basically doing backflips to keep students engaged. I was look at silly, which is, it's fun to be silly, but like, they weren't learning anything. Class was seen as playtime for the students, and that's how I love where I started. But we were taught that because their curriculum in school is so rigid, these after school ESL programs are supposed to be really high on the fun, and fun. Nobody's learning anything really. Um, Assuming my students would learn a language the same way I did. So recently I had a student even ask me, how did you learn Spanish? Because I was teaching them some vocabulary, and they said, I don't even know how you did this. How did you learn Spanish? I told them, well, I don't know if you want to do it the way I did it, but I saw it as like a puzzle. I learned a ton of vocabulary. I learned all of the grammar, and then I put it together. And I was really good at tests and really bad at conversation. And then through being embarrassed by trying to speak and being corrected constantly, that's how I learned. So that's not a good way to do it. But I just assumed my students back when I first started would learn the way I learned. Like, so here's a bunch of vocabulary, here's the grammar. See you next time. You know, it was rough, and it was a lot of hard work actually as well. So now I'm teaching one-on-one classes. That's me now, Afro, using digital resources and media. So I'm using tools in the classroom to hit all of those all of the senses of my students, because the more senses that you can touch when you're teaching something, letting them listen to videos or letting them play puzzles and things like that on the screen, that's going to just help their retention. Interviewing students before and after class, just to get a sense of what student I'm dealing with that day. Even if you know your student, they could have had a bad day, and that's going to affect what they learn in class, their ability to retain information. Or they
So
could have,
hold up.
yeah.
So when you say interviewing students before and after class, are you just talking about like casual free talk in the beginning, or are you talking about more like entrance and exit tickets?
Oh, no, I'm talking about casual free talk
Okay,
for
gotcha.
my students. Yeah, my students are, I'm teaching elementary school and middle school.
Yeah,
So I kind
yeah.
of do it informally, and so that they don't know what I'm doing to keep the stress down. But there's always a method to why I ask them certain questions. So I call it interviewing. But yes, thank you
Gotcha.
for clarifying. Yeah, just casually see how they feel and gauge what kind of student is about to go into this lesson. And then after class, as well as, of course, in between, what um, what did you learn? How do you feel? What did you like? What are you about to go do now, to see if they're actually going to remember it, so I can ask them about it next week. Also building rapport, all of that. So creating pre and post class quizzes and assignments, I found, has worked really well, because it creates that expectation that, oh, I better remember this, because next time I'm going to have a quiz. um,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's starting to work really well. And tracking improvement. I have a giant, I don't recommend everyone has to do this, but I mean, like, all these tabs. These are all of my students. I really track improvements. There might be a better way to do this, but I just like, I don't know, maybe it's the OCD, and
I
that
do
helps.
Excel. I do everything on Excel, or well, not Excel. It's Google Sheets, but same thing. Like I do everything on
Exactly.
Google Sheets. Yeah.
Same thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Using the HELT method, which something that I learned about, and when, as soon as I found out about it, I was like, you know what, this might be the difference between the way I learned Spanish and the way I should be teaching to help my students actually retain the language. So HELP method is holistic approach to English language teaching, and that's the next slide.
Okay. Very cool. So, Skylar says being a master of at learning is just such an amazing skill. Hulk Hogan would be proud. I don't understand that. Is that I guess I don't know. Do you understand? Someone else said I agree. I don't know. I don't know what if that's like a Hulk Hogan. I don't know what you mean.
It's gotta be a Hulk Hogan reference.
I will
We just
believe
don't know.
you on this, Skylar. I will believe you on this, but I'm not familiar with that. So you'll have to let us know what you mean by that, because otherwise I'm going to go down a rabbit hole afterwards.
Is it a good thing?
Out of embarrassment is definitely a tough but effective teacher. If Hulk Hogan would be proud, I would say it's probably a good thing.
Okay,
I mean,
good thing.
I mean, he's like, you know,
He's cool. He's got a mustache.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's got a mustache, so if he's proud of you, it's cool, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the help method, holistic approach to English language teaching. And you can Google holistic approach to whatever subject teaching and find so many things that would just blow your mind. And even if you think you've been doing it, there's a possibility you have not been doing it. So definitely, I encourage whatever online teachers, whatever subject you teach, please look this up. So the help method of teaching can be seen as the opposite of atomic teaching, where each element of learning is seen as separate. So, like what I did, I learned a ton of grammar, then I learned a ton of vocabulary, and I basically just put it together, and I couldn't speak. It didn't really work, and that's rote learning. Or you learn how to read. I used to be big into doing that too, teaching my students how to read when it came to Spanish. Teach them, every sound the letter makes, and then teach them the vowel sounds, because they never change. And then I'd be like, okay, that's it. So yeah, now you guys can read. Yeah, you can read perfectly with a Spanish accent, but again, you don't really know anything. You can't take that into the real world, and you definitely can't do that when you're teaching English, because English is, you want to speak. That's the point, to speak, to pass a test, to get a job, to move on in the world. Like, it's a global language. So
Where
just
are your students from? Where are the students that you normally teach from, or what
China.
countries? China. Okay. Do you have experience teaching in other countries or no?
A little bit. So I've had students from Australia, which is again an English speaking country,
Okay.
Saudi Arabia, Macedonia, Mexico,
Okay. Have you
Canada.
noticed
So
Arabic students, so students that come from Arabic speaking countries, they like Saudi Arabia, they learn all of the grammar skills, and then they have this is generally speaking, okay, so obviously there's going to be exceptions to the rules, but in their educational system they learn all the grammar and all the grammar rules, and when they get into actually like having to speak English, there's nothing there because they're so focused on, is this past principle perfect,
oh
imperfect,
yeah,
like
yeah,
they're so they have to try to categorize it in their head, and it stops them. Like there's
yeah,
it puts like a physical block there almost, because they can't, because they're so like their educational system must focus so heavily on that, and like I always tell my students that are from those countries, like, stop, I'm going to tell you right now that you can go on the street and pick out any random, the smartest looking American in any city, and ask them what that means, and tell them to give you one word, and they won't. We don't do that.
yeah. No, no, we don't
Yeah.
know grammar like that,
Yeah,
and
I'm
it's
like,
okay.
you're
You can
gonna
get
learn
away with it.
faster. You're gonna learn faster by making that mistake. Make
Yes,
mistakes. Like I always tell my students, make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes, because if you weren't making mistakes, you wouldn't need me as a teacher, right? So come in
right.
here, make mistakes so that you can learn from them, because I don't expect you to come in here and speak with me perfectly. Like it's
Yeah.
not gonna happen, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, and that's exactly what I was saying. And I didn't know that about Arabic speaking countries. Like that's how they teach English. But that's how I learned Spanish, and I made so many mistakes. And by the time I went to had to do study abroad, I didn't say a word in Spain for 2 weeks, and I just hid in the house. It's embarrassing. So yeah, we don't want to be like that. Holistic approach to teaching English. That's the way to go. The HELP method encourages individualized learning with an adaptive curriculum that anchors lessons in real world experience of learners. So applying the HELP method through your work will also radically transform your own philosophy as an educator, showing how language education can be an emotional journey rather than solely academic process. So you're supposed to get nervous. You're supposed to feel some type of way because now you're communicating with a whole new group of people instead of, it's not math. It's
I
way
told you
different.
guys. I told you guys this was like a college course. I mean, this is like some high level stuff here. This is great.
It's going to
Um,
get deeper.
yeah, Rome knows Tech says English is very dynamic. Most people say it's one of the most difficult languages to learn. Oh, I'm going to agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Um, and when you teach something, how do you make it educational and fun at the same time? Do you go into this today, or do you want to touch that right now?
So I would like to hear what you would have to say about this because I don't feel like this is very fun. It's fun for me, but what are your thoughts?
Okay. So, well, okay. So for mine, oh, it it goes back into differentiation. It goes
Yeah.
back into knowing what your student is like and knowing what they're like. So when I teach something, um, with my students, it's more of a casual, like I don't my teaching style is not to dive into like grammar and all of this. Like I like to have more relaxed, casual lessons, and the way that I make it fun personally is I teach creative writing lessons, which are always fun because even if you hate writing, you can write. I teach kids too, so this might not be something that, I mean, I've never done this with adults, but I mean, maybe they would. But when you write something, you can write like silly, fun things, and the student kind of takes it where they want to take it. I kind of make jokes of things. A lot of times when I'll throw cultural references in there. So if a student uh is what was the one where like uh Oh, like one time a student came in and he was like, "Oh, is it the?" Because I teach group lessons. He's like, "Is it just the two of us today?" And I'm just like, "Just the two of us." And start dancing and then show the video afterwards. And I mean, it's really about knowing where your teaching style fits in and the students that you teach. You can add interactive games if you're teaching children. You can add cultural references. Adults love cultural references. They love to know different things that like Americans do versus, their culture. I've had students come in that um, uh, if a lot of times for adults, it has more to do with relating it to their own personal life more than making it fun. They'll connect with it more if they can relate to it to their own personal life. So I'm like, one time I had an adult that said something about said something about being bald or something, and I was like, hey, hello, like, you don't know this, but I actually have alopecia and I am like part bald. You just can't tell. And, I showed him and, then we start talking about, this was a doctor too. And he started talking about how in his country they give women shots to avoid that. And, it's just, it really, it really depends. So for kids, interactive, silly goofiness, letting them kind of direct the lesson and feel like somewhat in control of it, self-guided. For adults, relating it back to their own life and make it feel like a friendship, I guess. I don't know. I think it depends. That goes back to differentiation, like who
Mhm.
your student is and what they like.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I was like, well, this might not be like these slides might not seem very fun, but I do have students that love love my classes. So it is fun when you again differentiate and kind of after you internalize all of these tips, then you can have fun in a structured way. So it depends on the student. Now what
So this in itself is a teaching methodology. I'm an
yeah,
English teacher. Okay. You want to say the word for me?
methodology.
Methodology. Thank you. This in itself is a teaching methodology. It doesn't, it, it's where the fun things are structured around. It's not, um,
Yeah.
a strict structured boom, 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 like you have to make it look boring like slides. And it's just where your focus is centered around, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
um yeah, I teach many times by storytelling, looking for the reaction of the students to see
Hmm.
if that's something that inspires them. Yeah, always assessing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, did you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, next slide. So, key strategy number one, I'm going to give you two. Number one, I'll go into it a little more because it is a key strategy in understanding your students and how to use that health method in your classroom. So, key strategy number one is understanding your ESL students' backgrounds. So, consider the student's age, culture, personality, and learning goals. These are just some factors that will affect their handle on learning the English language. To begin rethinking the way you teach English as a second language, the first step is to change your perception of your classroom. This is not just a classroom, but a crowd of individuals, all with different experiences and goals. Recognizing this and understanding how it affects the way that they learn is a crucial step in becoming a more well rounded, adaptable, and open minded teacher. It is critical to create learner profiles. So, the big things here are just to know that your student is an individual that came into the classroom with their own biases, experiences, their own learning styles that they've already been developing in other classes before they got to you in their own language. So, all of that is going to affect their behavior in your classroom. And all of those are things that over time you need to pick up on and learn how to adjust to what's going to help them most. And like this last tick says, it's critical to create learner profiles. So that's the next thing I'll talk about. So, learner profiling, knowing their learning styles. So, know your student's learning style. This can be done by online quizzes or assessments. That's like the quick and easy way, but not really, again, not personalized really. So the issues, there are a couple of issues with that. Different tests will categorize learning styles in different ways, but broadly they can be summarized as being visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and social learning, which most teachers have heard of this and they know those learning styles. You've probably studied that a little bit already. The reality is that most students' needs are too complex to be grouped broadly into a single category, and that they may need a combination of learning styles to best succeed, or they may benefit most from particular learning styles being suited to specific tasks. I find this is good for one on one teaching and especially group teaching, because you can say one thing 4 or 5 different ways, and one of those has to land on everybody. It's going to sprinkle
Yeah.
down something's going to make sense if you say the same thing 5 different times. Everyone should get it. Or like it says, a combination of the way that you say it and the techniques that you use to portray something should make sense. So it does take a bit of creativity on the part of teachers, but I have never met a good teacher that doesn't want to, put in that extra time and thought to figure out how to best help their students. So that's not even anything difficult.
One of the things that I have done you said this, like, say it 3 or 4 times differently. One of the ways that I do this in my own personal classes is by bringing someone who I know is confident in it. Like, well, I'll take turns, but usually, like, the first time I'll do something, I'll pick the person that I already know is confident in it to be the teacher, and then they teach the lesson. And now it's not me saying it, it's a child explain, because I
Mm,
teach children. It's a child explaining it in child language to another child. And then later on in the class, I'll pick um, other students to after they've been taught it again and now their confidence is up, because I don't want them to fail. I don't want
yeah,
to go on the stage and have them fail.
of course.
So then once I know, like, I'll have the students go through and be the teacher for different parts of it. And by teaching, it actually improves retention. So
Yes.
they'll they'll know it better too. And that's one of the ways that I guess, would that be in social learning by doing that?
Yeah, it
Okay.
would be. That is so awesome. I love when students learn from their peers. It's extremely powerful because it shows them, like, one, it's possible, and it's not like, this authority figure doing something that seems so daunting and difficult. Like, oh yeah, of course they're good at it. I'm just a little kid. Then they see somebody that's, right on their level doing it, and they listen to them. And like you said, kids speaking kid language, somehow they can do that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's really important.
it does so many things, because it helps the non-speaker, I guess, the one that's not teaching it. It helps them learn it because they're hearing it again in different words. And then it's repetition again. So no matter who's saying, it's just repetition. But then it helps the person that already knew it strengthen that and retain it for longer. And they're
Yeah.
not the student that's forgetting it as soon as they come out of class. Um, and then it gives them a big confidence boost when they go next, because when they came in, if I would have called on them, they're not going to be able to explain to me, say, what an adjective is. They're not going to be able to explain that to me. Now we go in there, review it. We have, okay, who wants to be the teacher? You're the teacher, teach this. They've learned it again. We practice, we give examples, and then it's their time and they've reviewed it. Now they have a big boost of confidence. They're the teacher. It makes them feel really good about themselves. They start enjoying it. And yeah, I highly recommend anyone who is doing group classes to try that strategy out. It works so well.
Yes. I like to say, to call my students teacher, whatever, when they do something, even if they're trying to, like, tell, oh, it's Mid Autumn Festival, or Winter Festival, just telling me anything about their culture. I'm like, oh, thank you so much for telling me that, Teacher Andy. I really enjoyed that. That even is a huge confidence boost. Now they're with me the rest of the class.
Yeah, well, if anybody has their own kids too, like, even when their kids come back from school, like in, like, say, like, kindergarten, my kindergartner comes home and she's like, "Mom, I was teacher helper today." And it's like this huge thing, and she hates school, but on days where she's the teacher helper, it just changes a little bit, you
So
know?
cute.
Um, Hulk Hogan, the glasses and the brother energy, they're great things. So it's a great thing.
Okay, great thing. I'll take it.
Glasses, the mustache, and the big brother energy. Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
Did
So
you need
we're
to go, did you need to go to the next one?
I need to finish up this one, then we go to the next one. So they may benefit most from particular learning styles being suited to specific tasks. So that's something too. You just have to play around and figure that out. This is all experimental, but it's fun for us. What most research agrees on is that the majority of classrooms operate best when all four different styles of learning are incorporated into lesson planning. So again, you want to hit all of those styles because it's gonna reach somebody, or a combination of all of them will help your student.
So just going and picking up curriculum off the internet, no matter which curriculum you use, and just using the curriculum, that's not going to be like using slides, using curriculum. That's not going to be in the best interest of your student for their learning needs.
Yeah, exactly. So some of those, most of them for a couple of the companies, I won't say anything. They just focus on one aspect. On those learning aspects of learning a language: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. I can't think of it. It only does one of them, so it's like a reading class, and reading class is really strictly reading. But in my reading classes, I always have them writing as well too. Like, you don't miss opportunities, but yeah, like you said, those curriculum, even though if you buy it, it's not. You still have to adapt.
Well, that's the same thing. So, like for Chinese students, so I kind of pay attention to how every student, how their educational system works. So I've been doing this long enough here, but I've noticed that in China, my Chinese students that come in, they're very like speaking and listening and reading. But when it comes to writing, many of them have never written anything aside from fill in the blanks.
Mm,
And I feel that like for me, so my they started as ESL classes, and then it turned to it turned to just English. So it's ESL and ELA combined group lessons for people that hate writing. So I get a lot of ESL students, a lot of students that have disabilities, learning disabilities in there. But like for what I do, when I do the writing lesson, it's not just writing. First, we're talking and we're brainstorming about it. So now we've got
yep.
speaking, we've got listening, and then we've got they have to write it out, and there's comprehension and as well. But then when they write it, it's like, okay, tell me more, and it's
Mm,
the way that it
mine too.
is like in a lot of these educational systems, they learn the vocabulary and they learn the ways to use them. So they know like pencil, book bag, where is my pencil? Where is the library? It's over there. It's across the street. But they don't know how to take those words out of these strict
Yeah.
structures and jumble them up and pull them out and use them in other ways. So when I do a writing activity with my students, I will say, you're walking down the street with somebody and you find an egg. Okay. What you need to write me a story about this egg, and you can get as crazy as you want it to be. Okay. So we'll start first. We'll talk. Who are you walking with? Okay. Okay. Where are you going to? All right. What is in this egg? What do you do with it? And we take them through all the steps, and then they put together a story that they would have never been able to put together before, because these are words that don't usually, like the dragon, the rainbow colored dragon is inside the egg that turned into fire. And like that's not something that happens in a natural sentence.
Yeah.
And it really challenges it challenges everything. So
Yes.
yeah. Sorry, I
That's
want
exactly. No, I'm excited. I'm trying to hold myself back, but that is exactly how I teach writing classes. I don't teach them often because I'd rather do my ESL classes, and I love grammar, so I like to teach those. But when I teach the writing classes, it's exactly what I do. Here's the prompt. We want to answer who, what, when, where, why, and how, and we want to say more, 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 more. Like, give me more. Like, be as creative as you can. Exactly the same way.
Yeah, and then I'll have students that are like, "Okay, I'm done." And there's like, I mean, these are group lessons. So then they'll be like, I say like 15 minutes left in the class. No, you're not done. Okay, read it
Right.
to me. Now they're reading it to me. And I'm like,
Exactly.
"Okay. So the dragon hatched from the egg and is flying all over the town. This can't be the end of it. What happens? What happens next? Where is this dragon going? Is it a good dragon? Is it a bad dragon? Is it, and
Right.
kind of like encourage them to pull more out. They get done, show their parents, and their parents are like, I've never seen my kid write like this before.
Yes.
Like,
Because you're hitting all of those
yeah,
styles. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Love it.
I can go on a tangent with group writing classes. Sorry, it's like I love it.
Now, I'm inspired now. I want to take some more writing classes. But building a learner profile, let me stay on track. A learner profile can be a document you create, a project the students themselves work on, which is really cool in my eyes, because students love to be involved in their own learning, or just a conversation you hold in a classroom and an understanding of a student that you carry out in your head, which is cool. But I like to write things down. But some teachers, if you're that, I think is good for those classroom teachers. You kind of have to, you're doing a lot already when you're in a classroom. If you need to just keep in mind, who your student is, how they learn, what works for them. If you need to just keep it in mind, keep it in mind. But I suggest you write everything down. Your learner profile can look however you want it to look. It does not need to be extra work. Many benefits can be achieved by just changing your own relationships with your students. So, just really putting that effort in. Take care to learn about their own individual needs, learning preferences, and goals. A learner profile should always include these things, though. Should include the student's strengths, their targets or their goals, their background, how they like to learn, their challenges, and anything else the student deems important, because that's going to take up space in their mind. That's going to, it could be a distraction for them. So we need to know, what is going on so that we can help them best. And then create that profile for that student.
I have always done this in my head. I've never thought of it being a project though.
Yes, I
Is
like
this
that too.
another slide? Is this another slide, or can we touch on that really quickly?
No, yeah, touch on this now.
Okay. So give me an example of a project that you would give for a student to do.
I see this being like a group project where students kind of, because that's when they really open up, was when they're talking to other students, and you just kind of sit back and listen. It can be like a writing project. What do you have going on? How do you see yourself? Um, just a quick thing, and then share that with another student. That's how I envision this going. When I wrote this part of the book, I was like, this could be like, students talking to each other, and then like really, because almost like in therapy, when you're talking to somebody, things come out that you don't even know yourself. So when you get on a roll, it's just going to help both parties, and then having someone to listen to, it creates a connection all kind of ways, especially if we just sit back and listen.
Okay. So depending on the age group, you could do different things. You could
Depending on the age group.
So this would be like for anyone who is in a classroom, like a brick and mortar classroom, or if you like look at your own kids how they've done it. This would be like the beginning of the year about me projects that the kids come up
Yes.
with. It could be a if you're teaching an ESL group class where the kids have to like you're really focusing on like speaking. This could be a presentation that you give for homework where the kids have to give a quick 5-minute presentation. They have to prepare a 5-minute presentation about something that they're interested in, or about their family, or something where you're helping them with their speaking skills and presentation skills. This could be for any age group, right? Um,
Yes, definitely.
and then, also doing the learning profile. Okay. And do you, um, do you have a system here where you save these learner profiles, or document them, keep track of them personally, you personally?
Yes, definitely. And you refer to them throughout the year, or even like if it is a project, how I imagined. I haven't had a chance to do this, but this is something that I came up with. You return it to them at the end of the year to see how they've grown, see what has changed, and then you have that one-on-one with the student.
Okay. Okay. So how are you tracking these? Like my learner profiles are all in my head, and I'm going to be honest, there have been times where I've been like, I don't want to say overbooked, but there have been times where I've had like a lot of students, and sometimes those
Yeah.
students that miss a lot, because when you do group classes, you can get a lot of students really fast, and sometimes those students that like aren't as consistent showing up to class, like I
Oh
always
yeah.
have to like refresh myself when they come back, and okay, you've missed like 3 or 4 classes, let's do a quick like, but how are you how are you keeping track of these? Are they in your binder? Are
Yeah.
part of your
I was reaching for the binder. Yes. My binder has each tab. Oh no, my virtual background. Oh no, but each there's so many you can't even see it. Anyway, there's like a ton of tabs in here, and each tab is a class, and each one is very thick. And I have classes with multiple students, and I just draw a line and write it down, take notes. But it's like it's really fast, really fast. So the things that stand out the most, because usually that's going to be the most important. You do pick up on the subtle things, but usually the subtle things, if they are going to make a difference in your class, they will repeat, they will show up again, and then they'll become a big thing. So maybe little behaviors or ticks when you say something, even that, you need to know like what's going to affect their learning, because we're talking about on an emotional level. The lower their emotions are, the lower that affective filter, the better they're going to be able to learn and retain information. So you even need to see like how they react to the things that you say, or maybe just off the rips just start talking about Ultraman, or start talking about Spider-Man or Pokemon, and see who responds and reacts to that. Those are big cues that you'll be able to you'll know, and it's memorable things that you'll be able to write down real quick.
So
So yeah.
in these tabs, and I know you probably can't show it, even if you could show it to us, you probably can't actually show it to us because they're actual students. But
Right.
in these tabs, is it basically kind of just like a notepad on that sheet that you're talking about? It's just it's not it's not like fill in the blanks, like
Oh
this is
no.
it's kind of just like taking notes, and
Yes.
um okay, so like you said, like a therapist notepad, basically, kind of like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Things that stand out. And if it's not something big that stands out over the course of a few lessons, it will become something like every time I say this, they do this. Little things, the more that they do them add up into big things, and then you can write it down. So the big stuff, you'll get in the notebook.
Okay. All right. And then Rome wants to know, how often do you allow the students to grade themselves based on what they've learned over a period of time?
That's good. Monthly or quarterly. We do talk about that. But it's again how I do it, it's not anything that's going to hurt them. I never, which this might be bad, I never give bad grades. That's not my goal. I don't want you to get a bad grade. I'm not grading anything like that.
I don't grade anything at all. I don't do grades.
Okay, good.
I
Yeah, I
do
was like,
I
what?
no, everything is assessments and like just feedback. Like, okay, like this is
Feedback.
what we're
Yeah.
gonna work on right now. Yeah, I don't do grades at all. It's again, that's kind of like in the cookie cutter thing there. I don't
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to make you feel bad and stress out about, next time I see them, I have to do this. Like, no, I'd rather you actually develop this love of learning on your own, because I'm not, oh, and I don't even want to say, I'm not going to be their teacher forever. Oh, you know, they're going to go on, they're going to go on and have other teachers. So
Yeah, and then
they
they
have
have
to
to be
know.
adults in the real world too, where there is no grade. It's really based on, performance, even performance in the job interview, performance at work to get the promotion. It's not
Yes.
so much it's based on performance, the ability to accept constructive criticism, which I don't think
Mhm.
a grade is necessarily constructive criticism. It's a number with, it's a point system, and the ability to learn and adapt and improve from that. And I remember when I was a kid, I was always an A student. Okay. And I was that it's not fair. It's not fair. But I was always that student that could like get perfect scores, perfect grades without even paying attention. Like I'd be doodling, doing my own thing. And that's one of the things with ADHD, right? Reading ahead, doing whatever. The teacher would call on me. I'd be in la la land, just quickly come to it and be able to answer the question, even though I had no idea like what year we were in at that moment. Just, that was one of the things that I'd, be able to do. And then I remember one time, like my friend Rachel, she was like I think she graduated like you know, valedictorian or something. But like I remember I was in elementary school, so I was young, and I came back and I was like, Mom, I got a 99 or whatever. And she's like, yeah, but Rachel got 100. And
Ooh,
it's like, yeah, yeah. And like she didn't mean anything by that. Like,
but you
but
remember that.
oh yeah, I remember that. She wasn't doing it to be mean, but that's something that like still sat with me as an adult. Like I was being compared to my friend based on a number.
Yep.
And I agree with you on the numbers thing. How do you have your kids self-assess? Or your students, I should say, not your kids, your
Yeah.
students.
Yeah, I know. It feels like it though. My kids. That's what I call them too. So I don't do it with the younger ones. The older ones, I do it with them because I feel like they can understand more. I basically, it's almost like a survey on how I'm doing for them. I ask them like, what do you think you didn't learn very well? What do you think you didn't get enough of? What do you think you're not understanding well? Kind of seeing how I can better help them. What did I not give them enough of? What I also ask them kind of like an exit interview. I ask them how they or what style they liked the best, um, or what games they liked. If there was something that was they found too difficult. I don't Nobody likes the conjugation, but I'm trying to find a way around that one. I never have good marks on that one. But
That's interesting. I do that too, but I've never really, I mean, it kind of just like flows in. It kind of just
yeah,
flows in naturally. I never, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it is a natural flow.
Yeah, yeah. Grading is crazy in my class, but they all get success stories to build their confidence. Then they want to learn more.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. She wants to know about frequency charts.
Hmm. It's not in here. It's not in, so I just,
Not
like you said,
anytime.
if it don't,
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't flow naturally in my flow, but there is a section in the book that talks about standardizing. So taking things from standardized tests or from the like stately standards like those frequency charts or grading charts and things, and adapting them to fit in your curriculum. So that's great. That sounds like something that is necessary, something that can help a lot of people too, especially if you don't know where to start. I have been guilty of, man, especially my very first year teaching in 2017. I thought I knew everything and didn't use the book, and it was chaos every day. It was awful. So, yeah, definitely follow something stricter if you need that, especially that guidance. And nothing's wrong with getting a guide and using the standardized tools as a guide, and then add to them or take away that what doesn't work. Don't be scared to experiment as well.
Yeah. All right. And Rome says, I'm still working on my first cup and I'm learning something new from this live. Um,
Yay.
yeah, it's amazing having you on here. Okay, so this is kind of cut off here, but Skylar says making it fun can be as easy as allowing the student to process the information and entertaining their thought process and curiosity before giving them the answers. Yeah,
Exactly. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yes. Great. So tools and methods are still talking about learner profiles. So tools you can use in your profiling. These tools will help you put the details of your individualized learning profiles into practice on a one-on-one basis with the students. So if you have group classes, if it's possible, see if you can get the parents to schedule one-off 15 minutes at another time. Just kind of make it seem like, oh, just something fun, just wanted to check in with you, if that's possible. I'm not sure. I have one-on-one classes, so it's not as not as hard for me at this point. Diagnostic tests is one of the tools. These can help you understand to what extent a student has been able to make progress toward their individual learning goals. And we can get these diagnostic tests at the beginning of a new segment, and then at the end, just to see how they're doing, or at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, or every 3 months, anything like that. Whatever works for you in your classroom, how it's set up. Excuse me, depending how often you have class with that student. Student surveys, another tool. So students enjoy having input into their own learning. It bolsters their confidence, both in themselves and in their teacher. It provides valuable self-motivation and can help them better direct their studies. So student surveys are awesome. You get feedback as well in that way. And interviews. So nothing formal, just taking time to engage with students one-on-one to work on a problem or issue together has been shown by psychologists to improve learning, recall, and repetition of tasks in the future. Of course, if you're teaching older students, they should be able to handle knowing that you're in an interview. But yeah.
Yeah. So what is an example, um like a specific example that you like to use as for one of these tools?
Oh, I like to do the diagnostic test. I will give them the same test um, at the beginning of a lesson. It's usually with grammar and then something easy, some easy vocabulary, and then give it to them at the end. And then I expect the vocabulary to still remain, but the grammar to get better at the end, if that makes sense. So I'm giving them a test of the things that we're going to be covering and something that they should already know, so that that keeps their confidence high, and then just help them kind of move into that next step of what is expected of them.
Okay. Okay. And um I think I think for me, I would say that I do I kind of do more of like formative assessments in my and okay, so for anybody that doesn't know, there's like formative and summative assessments. Those are the two different kinds of assessments that there are. Whereas summative assessments are like more of the I think I have them. I think I have them right, right? Yeah, formative.
Yeah.
Formative is yeah, formative is like where you're forming it like ongoing and sorry, this is like back in my master's degree. I don't actually use the terminology. And summative is where you do like the actual like tests and diagnostic stuff like that. I think like what I do is for mine is kind of like go through and just really monitor and assess through like every single lesson, every single interaction that we have together, whether they're sending me a message or doing homework or, you know, um, I've never thought of doing a separate one-on-one with a student. I've never thought of, I mean, that's would be a really good thing to add into add into your program there. Like maybe you have like your ongoing group lesson, and you encourage them to do a one-on-one, like maybe every 6 months, maybe every 3 months, maybe every month or something, just to, you know, quickly pop in and really get a lot of things that they might not want to say in front of the other students too. I like
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the parents would probably really see that as helpful too, and I'll help you stand out as a teacher, help with retention.
Yeah, I've never even considered that before. And my brain goes everywhere. I've considered a lot of things, okay? I like that. I really like that a lot.
Awesome.
Rome wants to know, how do you inspire students that start off with very low self-esteem or have issues expressing themselves?
Yeah, that's really common with people learning English. It's a new language, even if they're not actually like that in their native language. Um, so, what you can do, which a lot of teachers do not encourage this, but I mean, getting started, I think it's okay. You're trying to get to know someone. You just words. I usually have. Here we go. Here's so Hey, how are you? Hello, Kitty likes to see you. That usually gets a response. I'm working with kids, so I don't
Yeah.
know how to do it with adults. But just something that's going to, or, um, get them feeling like, we're playing, or you can show them a video in their native language. Just help them to see you as not the teacher, but a person that's trying to help them. And we're having fun. And then you can quickly, fork, and then you're going to have to go back to, you have to revert all the way back to, uh, what is it called when you TPT? I don't remember what it's called.
CPR?
TPR. You're gonna have to revert to the TPR and the lower level methods, and very low vocabulary, and just lower that affective filter. You might spend a whole class talking and the students just staring at you, not saying anything. The good thing about teaching online is you got a captive audience. They are going to stare at you, and eventually they'll get tired of sitting there not saying anything. So they'll say something, or they'll laugh, and when you get a laugh out of them, you've won, and you just take that win. And next time will be better. But you got to know, every time, especially if it's like the first class, first time meeting them, they're just meeting you. It'll get better the more classes that you have together. And at that point, if we're talking about teaching kids, you got to just show the parents that you're not a quitter. Show them, like, give them everything you got.
Yeah.
TPR.
I think that really goes back down to differentiation again, and really knowing
Yeah.
who your student is. I can't bring. I teach third graders. I literally don't even have any props over here. Like I have nothing. I have nothing over here because
I know. I used to have so much.
anymore. But like what, and like our teaching styles are very different too. So, what I personally do to inspire students to speak that might not have that confidence to do it, if they are older students, and like older can be like third grade is what I usually teach. Older can be just, it could be like a 6-year-old that just has more of a, you know how, especially those kids from China, like you get those students and you're like blown away, like what am I doing in my parenting,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so older can be anything here. It's subjective, but I will have them teach me something in their language. Because I already know I suck at it, especially if it's Chinese. I cannot get the ups and downs. I cannot get the tonal language down at all. And
Right.
I will have them try to teach me something. I'll teach them something. Like, well, how do you say this in Chinese?
Yeah.
And they'll teach it to me, and I'll struggle with it, and I'll struggle with it, and then I'll finally get it to where they say it's right. If I ever go and tell anybody else, they have no idea what I'm saying, so it is
Right.
not right. So I know that they're getting that it's hard, and that they're not doing that bad after they teach me something. That kind of like bridges that gap a lot of times, I think, if you let them sit on the other side for a second and see somebody else on the other side, and they're like, okay, I'm not doing that bad because she's a teacher and she sucks, like
Right. Exactly. Yes. I do the same thing with my older kids. That's perfect.
with really little kids. I found like a lot of times you'll get them where they don't want to talk, or they want to run away or whatever, and I just leave. That's gonna sound really messed up, but I'll just be like, I'll do something silly, like I'll go away, where's the teacher, and I just like do something like that, or I'll sit there and I'll make a big deal out of it and fall asleep. This one, if you're teaching preschool kids, guys, or little kids, do it. I promise you need to do it. I'll fall asleep, and then I'll be like, teacher, wake up, right? So and then they'll usually scream it, or their parents will do it to, if they're little, their parents will be like, ah! Make a big reaction out of it. Boom, they're in your pocket. You got those students now. You're there for the rest of the class.
Perfect.
They might do that like 10 more times throughout your lesson. Teacher, wake up, when you're in the middle of your teaching. But now they're communicating with you. Yeah. Yeah.
Sneaky. I love it.
Brenda says, you are the greatest prop. Faces, gestures, body signs.
Mm-hmm.
I call it online TPR as it differs from standard full body TPR. Renee says that, sorry, I had to turn my heater off. Giving opportunities to let them give the same information in different artifacts helps too. Oral responses or posters instead of formal assessment where assessment works.
Yes.
Add brain breaks and get them up and moving as well as songs. Yeah, depending on your kids, going back to kids, depending on the students. When I do my writing lessons, um, one of the things that I do is I don't like the structured things, but I still have to teach the structured things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like one of the things that I will do is like say I'll go back to the adjectives. Okay, so we're teaching adjectives at the beginning of class. We'll do our warm up, our what did you call it? Your entrance interview, right?
Yeah.
We'll do that where we talk, we chat for a little bit, and then I'll be like, okay, review. What is an adjective? Who wants to be the teacher and teach it? Have them do that. And then I will have everybody leave and go find a noun. They have to bring a noun back. They've gotten up, they've moved, they have to bring a noun back. Then we do show and tell. What is your noun? Give me an adjective for your noun, right?
Oh, nice.
And then like on another class, we might be working on adjectives again. And I bring in a Taylor Swift song and I say, okay, we're going to listen to this Taylor Swift song in class. When you hear an adjective or a simile, this works really good for similes too, similes and metaphors, raise your hand. Okay. Hands pop up. And then we're listening to the song. They're engaged. They're watching. Hands are going up because they want to be the first person that raises their hands. Yeah, my writing classes, I guess, aren't just writing classes, but I do writing. Okay. Skylar said your wealth of information on this subject is so enlightening. Thank you for being so diligent in your pursuit of betterment.
Wow. Thank you.
I had my students make a classroom book. I still have it for my library. Like,
Oh,
what's in this classroom book? I'm interested. I want to like let me know in the comments here. Well, like, what is this classroom book about? Is it just like about themselves or? I call them my teacher. They love to take on the role of being the teacher. I'm not a teacher, but I teach something every day. My key is to teach how I learn. It's not too late to invite your friends to this live and hit the share button. Thank you, Rome.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. That's very kind of you. All right. Do you want me to go on to the next slide?
Yeah, moving on. So, understanding different forms of intelligence. So, this is just something, again, teachers, you got to keep this in mind. By engaging in a variety of teaching styles, you can benefit the maximum amount of students and have students progressing in different forms of intelligence in different contexts. So, when planning lessons, try and do so by bearing the different forms of intelligence as defined by Dr. Howard Gardner in mind. He is a psychologist, not an educator, but so he's smart. He knows. So these are different kinds of intelligence, different forms of intelligence.
Does he have a
Musical.
mustache?
I need to Google that. Probably he's cool, right? So yeah, he has to. Musical, rhythmic, visual, spatial, verbal, linguistic, logical, mathematical, bodily, kinesthetic, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. You have probably heard of these, most of these, if not all of them, if you are an online teacher. If you haven't, I explain them more in, I believe, the first chapter of the book explains them a little more, but I'm not going to spend time going over all of these. There, you can kind of tell by, vocabulary what type of or different forms of intelligence this is. People learn in different ways, and there's only one way to find out what is the best for your student. You have to try. So this is all, it's experimental, but it's really fun, and it just shows you the best way to care. So it's worth the time to put in to figure out what form of intelligence is most likely to reach your students.
And which form you are the best at too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
think that if you're working with a form that isn't really your teaching style, it might not come off as
Mm-hmm.
authentic. This goes back to like not every student is meant for every teacher too. But if you're trying to work heavily in a form of intelligence that what do you think about that? If you try to work heavily in a form of intelligence that you're very uncomfortable with and it
Yeah.
goes against your teaching style, do you think
Yeah.
that you should push heavy into that, or do you think that you should kind of just do?
Do what you're good at. Do what you're good at, especially if you're trying to reach other people. If you got something you want to work on, don't let your students be the guinea pigs. Work on that, on your own time. Like musical rhythmic, I'm going to just turn on some music. I'm not going to try to sing to them. I'm not going to do that. You're gonna do what is best for you, like the logical, mathematical. And you gotta take the time to learn yourself. Just like you said, if that form of intelligence does not resonate with you, don't stress yourself out, because if you're uncomfortable, it's going to show. Your students are going to be the ones that suffer, and it's not worth it just to be practicing new things on them. Practice somewhere else, get better, and then bring it to your students.
Yeah.
So this is the second key strategy. So craft the adaptive curriculum. These are just 4 points I want to give you real quick about the second key strategy. So find the balance between standard and customized modules. So these standardized tests, standardized lessons, textbooks, read them for inspiration. See, what these tried and true methods are doing, because they're tried and true. And then you can customize for what goes best for your students. Using real world materials as a foundation as well. That's the second really good one. A second one for your curriculum. Real world meaning, make sure the media that you use to show your students is from people that are native speakers of the target language. Or news articles. There's ways to find news articles, if you look at that in your classroom, that are that use lower level vocabulary, but it's the same real world news. So there's websites you can look at. There's social media has a ton of materials that you can find, these real world materials. Also touch on all 4 skills in each lesson plan. So reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Like you said, Jillian, writing classes is not just writing. And I always say, like, good readers are good writers. So I get my students to read something out loud, maybe read a paragraph of something out loud before we start writing in my writing classes. So same thing. The fourth tip I want to talk about here is to offer open-ended tasks in which the student can decide for themselves what they want their final work to be, whether that's an essay, a podcast, or a scripted conversation, so that they can find what works best for them. And also, it shows you, what resonates with them.
All right. Did you want me to go on to the next slide?
Yeah, we can go to the
Okay.
next one. I think it's the last one. So those are the first 2 of the 7 key strategies for holistic English language learning, or holistic ESL teaching. The first one we went over was understanding ESL students' backgrounds, and then we just looked at a little bit of crafting the adaptive curriculum. Then there's, the other 4: teaching English in tune with today's media, navigate digital classroom, bridge cultures, not just languages, and strike the balance between grammar and communication. And I should know the 7th one. Hold on, but I can't see it, so I don't.
Oh, hold on. I'll take that off
It's
for you.
okay.
I'll hide it. I'll hide it. Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go?
Nurture the emotional journey. I found it. The 7th one is nurture the emotional journey. So I should know, but I don't. I can't remember. So many. So all of the rest of these tips and so much more, each one of these is a chapter in the book, and it goes through each one of these strategies in detail. There's also little quizzes in there, so you can help quiz yourself, help you to know more about how to be the best teacher going into your classrooms using this help teaching method. All of this is in this book, English Language Learning Unlocked, the 7 key strategies for holistic ESL teaching, enhancing vocabulary and grammar in a culturally connected classroom, which I know we all love vocabulary and grammar. And it's hard to get our students to love it sometimes. But that's what this is to do, to, know that you're not just academically pouring this information on these students. You are connecting with them on an emotional level, going through an emotional journey with them, because language learning is emotional. So this book is available on Amazon. I don't have a coupon code.
I got the link I have the link in wherever you're watching this. So if you're watching it on Facebook, it's in the description box. If you're watching it on YouTube, it's in the description. I guess they're both description boxes, right? They're just in different places.
Yes.
So whether you're watching this on my Facebook like page or YouTube or in the Facebook group, the link to the book is there. I do like this is not a so a lot of people will put together books that are like garbage. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, a lot of people will put out, like, expert books that are, like, just very simple, whatever. This
Chat
goes
GPT.
Yeah. Yeah, this goes, like well, I'm even, like, before the Chat GPT, just, like, really simple things, this is good. Like,
Thank
how
you so much.
what is the cost of the book? Can you remind me? Like, what is it now at the time of recording this, do you know?
Yeah, now, so I couldn't make it any cheaper than this, but for now, because I knew I wanted to do something special for today. So the ebook is available for 99 cents. The paperback, so the print cost, paperback is $15.99, and the hardback is $29.99. United
So
States dollars.
Okay. So if you got any value out of this live, which I don't know how you could possibly not because Alexis is amazing, but if you got any value out of that, then I would highly suggest to jump in and grab the book. It's like, even if it's like 99 cents, right? 99
Yeah.
cents, you can only do that like once every like month or 6
Yeah,
months or a year.
that's
Like you
right.
can't do that very often with KDP. But how long is that good for? The 99 cents, do you know?
For this week, so until next Thursday.
Okay. So if you were to do it now, you could get all of this wealth of knowledge for like less than a buck. It's totally worth it. I can't whenever someone's giving you this much value for that little of a cost, like you should jump onto it. Cuz I'm telling you, this is not something where I'm like, "Oh, um, she's her book must be good because she like I've read her book. Her book is good. I'm telling you right now, it's good. It's literally you're going to get more out of this. And I guess I'm kind of biased because I kind of feel like college is not that great of a thing anymore, but you're going to get more out of this book than you will out of like a college degree for a lot of it if you actually pay attention to it. This book is gold. Um, it's literally like a college course in a book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And quick mention, I do not have no education degree. I have my TEFL and TESOL
Bachelor's?
education
I said you had a bachelor's.
in foreign languages.
Okay, well that's okay.
Yeah, that's
That's a,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's just
yeah,
not in education, so
uh,
nothing like that. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like for
So
the
you don't have to.
you're in the U.S., correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I started my master's degree in elementary education, and the way that it works is like you go in there and you learn all the basic things, right, about teaching and everything, and like differentiation, and you learn like how to assess students, and you learn how like a lot of this stuff that's in here actually. And then you go through and you have to learn the same course um for Spanish, for science, for history,
Oh my
for
gosh.
English, for like you have like and it's like a waste of time. Like if I did it for one, I could do it for the other ones.
Yeah.
To me, to me, it's just like a waste of time. Like I know it's like practice, but I just spent like a whole semester doing this with everything else. And then you have to go through and you have to do it unpaid for 3 months while you're paying for college. So your student
Right.
teachers actually so if you go to Grand Canyon University, that's where I went to school. If you go to Grand Canyon University for your master's program, and then you do your unpaid 3-month internship as a student teacher, you're actually paying Grand Canyon University for those credit hours as well. So you're paying to work for free after you just paid the school. You guys, your online teachers, learn it. Like learn what you can. You don't need to pay like all this money unless you need that degree.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
Okay. Brenda said she needs a link. I want to support other
Oh,
teachers. The link
thank you
should
so
be in
much.
the description box. Hold on. I'm gonna double check here really quick. The link should be in the description box, but I'm just gonna double check and make sure. Um, oh, where am I? It should be in there. But it is. Let me double check here. Somebody sing to me or something. No, I'm just kidding.
Not me. Somebody else.
Well, we wouldn't hear them anyway, so we're just gonna go with it. Thank you
Right.
for singing to me. Thank you for singing to me. Okay, so I'm posting this as a comment to all destinations. So the link is going to show up wherever you are. If you're watching the replay, then it's in the description box of the video. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then you have your stuff here. So
Yes. If you
yep.
need to contact me, feel free. There's my Instagram handle and my email address. My name is Alexis. I go by L.
L.
I'm super reachable if you have any questions or want to talk about anything.
Okay. Perfect. That was wonderful having you on here. I was like, that was great. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Before we wrap it up, does anybody have any other questions for Elle while she's here? And there's always like a slight delay here. Everybody's been like super, super talkative in the chat though today. So that's really fun.
Really awesome.
I think that a lot of the questions were probably already answered. But I feature her book in my stream every night. What is your stream, Rome? Maybe you feature her book in your stream every night. Tell me what that is. I missed that one.
Rome's awesome. He's an Amazon live streamer. Super awesome friend.
Oh, okay. What is an Amazon live streamer?
Did you know they live stream on Amazon?
Oh, yeah. For the review, like the reviewers and stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason. So I am in Amazon Associates, but I can't do I'm locked out of doing the that part of it, the video reviews and the streams and
Oh,
stuff. I don't know why. It's one of those things where they don't know how to fix it and they don't really care too much. But
right. It's hard to get a hold of them sometimes.
yeah, unless you're like a paying customer, then you can get a hold of them and they're great.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a complaint.
I've never watched an Amazon live stream though, to be
I'll
honest.
send you the link tonight.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I've never actually seen it before. Is this okay? This is something. So in our household, we typically have the exact opposite of what most people have for issues. I don't have the Amazon problem. My boyfriend does. My daughter and I were just laughing about this today because we will like wrestle in bed because we'll be laying there in bed and then he'll be like, oh, something about like, I'd like to do such and such or whatever, and be like, oh, well, maybe at some point in time we get a boat, and he'd be like, what if they have it on Amazon? And he'll like start like looking at Amazon for boats. He's like, they
For both.
do. Next thing you know, he's
They
down a
do?
rabbit hole. Yeah. Yes. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Yeah. He has a serious Amazon problem. He'll be on there and he'll be like, like, what do I need to buy? I think I need to buy like these like chicken nesting boxes. And like, dude, I can make those. Like, I'm the one that's like, I can make those. And he's like, let's buy. I'm like, those are $50 for a wooden box. Like, we have scrap wood.
They have a firm though.
I'm telling you right now. He must never know that Amazon live streaming is a thing. Because there is
every
no
night.
hiding packages from me. He's a truck driver. I get all the packages.
Oh,
There's no hiding anything. I open everything.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I love Amazon live stream. I be on it every night. I love to watch.
I'm I'm keeping this a secret.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
won't tell anybody.
Brenda said she
Oh,
bought
thank
the book and
you.
looks forward to reading it.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Let me know how you like it.
I read it. It's a really, really, really good book. I got like, I don't know, like a page in and I was like, oh my goodness. And I kept going and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is good. This is good. Okay, my streams are nuts. You will see LP. Are you actually on with him?
No, I'm in the comments.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we
have
cut up
to
in the comments.
send me the link and I'll
Yeah,
get on there. I'll get on there. I've never been on an Amazon live.
it's so fun. We cut up in the comments. I'm glad they were calm today.
Is it an Amazon affiliate, an Amazon Associates thing where he's trying to like sell you into things and like talk about like reviewing things? Like, is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a haul? Is it like a haul?
Yes, like technology. Yeah, he does like
Oh.
um laser cutters, like laser engraving and
No. no, 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 no,
It's
no, no,
so
no, no,
you
no, no.
don't let him find out.
Okay, if he's on the road tonight, I will watch. I am not letting him in near anything that has anything to do with tools.
3D printing
Oh, he will
and
he
live stream equipment.
okay, that would be my
That's
problem.
how that's how I met Rome, live stream, because I'm like, "Oh, I teach live every day. I need new live stream equipment." Clearly, my camera I don't know what's going on with this.
I'm gonna be honest, Wave is not the best. Like, I mean, like
Okay.
you've seen like my video editing, like when I edit using my video editing software, it doesn't look like this. This is just Wave is not
Okay.
the best. If I were using a different
That's
like Manicam or something attached to it, it would be better. But
yeah, I'm using Manicam for my
in
background now.
the green screen, if you're using a green screen, the green screen here, I'll show you here. I mean, I love Wave, but it's not for like their virtual backgrounds. Like say now I have a green screen and it has that you can
Mhm.
change the smoothness, but then like it will start to erase you.
Oh my god.
And there's not it like I mean it goes from this to this, like just one little click there.
Good lord.
You know, this to this. Yeah. It, it goes from this to this. There's no like
No between.
fine tune adjusting it. It doesn't, yeah. That's a Wave thing. That's not a you thing.
This is Manicam, no green screen. I think it's doing
Okay.
pretty good.
Do you have the paid version of Manicam?
Ugh, yes, it's $80 a year. I'm trying to learn how to use OBS so I can get off of Manicam.
I have OBS. I don't use OBS for in the classroom though. I use it for like if I'm recording a video and I want to like screen share how to do how to do something.
I was wondering if teachers are still using Manicam or if I was the only one.
Oh no, actually somebody was just in my comments today on like how I make like these are AI
That looks
backgrounds that I
good.
yeah, there's a video. I have a video on my channel how to make an AI background. They're so cool. Huh? I think I got another one here too. Um I got a couple. Oh no, go back. Go back.
Look at that.
Like yeah,
That
like
looks look at that.
yeah,
You have a green screen too. That helps.
yeah, well, not here it doesn't. Not on this. But these are some of the AI backgrounds and I did a little video on how to make them. But on that video somebody was commenting today I think asking about if it would work with all schools platform and I said, well, if you use something like Manicam, and she's like, oh, and somebody else is like, oh, I actually use Manicams. How do you make all the little things pop up? And I'm like, that's Manicam.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't like it when I worked with VIPKID. It seemed to mess up the VIPKID classroom.
I've never used it with VIPKID. I didn't start using it until I was working with ClassOver.
Yeah. Oh, you work with Classover. Okay.
Yes,
I
yes.
I feel like
Oh, look at that.
most
See,
people. Oh,
issues.
goodbye,
Oh
goodbye.
no, I'm here.
I don't think I've spoken with another teacher except for in the comment section that actually work with Classover. That's one that a lot of people I feel like haven't heard about. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm always surprised. I went on their website today. It said thousands of teachers. I was like, who?
They don't Classover doesn't pay that well either for the
Oh,
requirements. Do they now? Do they?
no. No,
Okay,
you're right about
you had to be a certified teacher in the United States with your teaching certification, not TESOL, but like your an actual certified teaching certification. And I think they paid like $15 when I looked into it.
you're right about you're right about the pay.
Maybe they've changed. I did a video on this. So if you look through my videos, you look through Classover. I did a video on it, maybe like a year or two ago.
I got
And
in early. I got in ClassOver early. I was like one of the first teachers, so they didn't look too hard into qualifications.
yeah, I think like
And I'm still here.
all right. Rome says, great live. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Rome. It was nice
Thank
to
you, Ro.
meet you. And it was nice
Yes.
to talk to you in person, Elle. And we've had a
Yes.
lot of chats back and forth. I feel like Elle and I are like on the same wavelength for a lot of things. Like
Yes.
she'll be in the
Better.
she'll be in the comments here and she'll be like, I do that too. And I'm like, I thought I was the only one.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. All right. It was great to have you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And I will see you guys all next week for our next Teachers Talk Thursday. All right.
Yes.
Bye
Thank you for
guys.
having me.
Yes, thank
Bye.
you. Make sure you hit subscribe.